and what my body needs to have energy and to function is animal protein.
If you don't know how the nutrition system works, maybe it's just best to take a back seat.
I was eating a lot of fake meat, man. That's good for you. I don't care. Baby, you eating spicy plastic.
My plants aren't eating plastic.
Hey everyone, this is Klaus from the PBN podcast. I'm with
Sarah.
Dr. Shabnam Islam.
Fantastic to be with you all today. So we've recently come across a conversation between singer Lizzo and Trisha Paytas. They have had an interesting conversation on the Just Trish podcast. They cover a lot of topics, but today we're going to be honing in on the discussion around food and Lizzo's decision to move away from being vegan. Let's get into it.
I just remember when you were like, this is the only one I'm going to bring up because I feel like it might be the safest one because we've already talked about it. When you were just like, I don't eat animals anymore. I'm a vegan.
Oh, that one made people so mad too. Can I tell you that might be one of the most problematic ones people hated me for? Yeah, talking about like veganism and animalism, and my best friend is a vegan. She's like obsessed with being vegan, and yeah, it's a slippery slope to talk about those things. Oh my God,
I was really careful, I should say. I'm not afraid, but I was really careful about how I came out of the meat closet because I wanted to like be very like, hey, I still think that veganism is a very healthy way of eating. And one day I aspire to be a raw vegan. Like I want to one day. I want to grow my own vegetables. I want to have my own farm. That's the dream. But right now, what works for my body and what my body needs to have energy and to function is animal protein. Mm-hmm. And that's how I really feel, and I really mean it, because I know we're all here, everyone's very sensitive.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure, as someone with a high profile, that I communicate things very carefully. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it affects people.
Of course.
You don't think it does, but it does.
And like you said at the beginning, everyone's body is so different, and it's a responsible thing to say too, because like it does. Or I do think, yeah, the people I know that are raw vegan, I mean, they look amazing.
Some people thrive as raw vegans. Yeah. Oh God, yeah. I don't have it right now to be able to do it.
Okay.
Protein doesn't give the body direct immediate energy. And so when you say that you feel better because protein gives you energy, it's just a slide to the understanding of how we break down energy in the system, right? We know that glucose is the energy currency of the cell. It gives us immediate energy. For protein to be broken down into glucose, what we call gluconeogenesis, takes a significant amount of time and a significant amount of effort to do so. So if you don't know how the nutrition system works, maybe it's just best to take a back seat and say, raw veganism is what I want to be. I just don't have the willpower to do it yet. And I hope to get there someday. And I think that that's where she was going with her conversation. But I feel like to be more poignant and choiceful with the words could be more impactful to the communities that she reaches.
Do you think it's fair, Shabnam, for her to say, I needed animal protein? Is it more that you need protein, like high quality protein, rather than specifically animal protein, surely?
I think there's a big difference between conflating need and want. And oftentimes, in our experience, it's our job to kind of help the client understand or differentiate between the two, right? And that's where, the chemical, nutritional, chemistry science comes into play, understanding behavior change comes into play. But really listening to those words of what she was saying, my follow-up would be like, it sounds like you really value it, but you don't quite have the willpower to do that yet. Let's explore that. Why is that? And this is someone that has access to lots of resources, that has the capacity to have their own farm and be raw vegan if they really wanted to. But remember, it is a choice. It's about behavior change.
Yeah. My worry is just that people watch that and then believe that you need to have animal protein, because she's sort of saying like, she does have resources. She could have consulted the best dietitians and nutritionists in the world, and they could have made her a proper whole foods, plant-based diet that could have been perfect for her. But she's saying, I needed this. So it sort of confuses people. I think that's what I worry about with those big famous people.
It can be confusing. But let's be honest, in the United States, the USDA, our regulating agency on what is considered healthy and nutritious, is also equally confusing. So it doesn't surprise me when we have leaders in the field kind of echo the chamber of what we're hearing in media.
Yeah. And also like big sort of health charities and all sorts all recommend that you have meat as part of a balanced diet. So yeah, if we're looking at like guidelines and all that stuff, we're not quite at the point where we have governments recommending plant-based yet.
But if we take a look at Harvard and Harvard School of Public Health, and we look at the healthy eating plate, we see that those items like meat, dairy, cheese, it's recommended to use sparingly, with the addition of meat and cheese if they wish, but it to be used sparingly.
When I
to
was
say that, yeah.
Yeah, because when I was vegan, I was consuming a lot of fake meats. I was eating a lot of bread. I was eating a lot of rice, and I had to eat a lot of it to stay full. But really, I was consuming like 3,000 to 5,000 calories a day.
She's claiming that when she was vegan, she had to eat more. And I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, it's the thing of like people saying that they have to eat way more vegan foods to feel as full as they do on an omnivorous diet. And I feel like that is more to do with the type of food you're eating, in my opinion, anyway. Or that's what I've experienced. When I eat whole foods, plant-based, I feel really full.
It sounds like from what she was saying, it was a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of processed proteins, right? But where is the healthy fats? Where are your avocados and your, olives and your olive oils? And that combination is what satiates us longer.
And maybe she was eating the same amount as she is now, but maybe she just doesn't realize that she might be eating smaller quantities, but very calorie-rich foods. So thinks she was eating a ton of food before, but actually might be the same amount. And I'm only saying this because I've experienced this when I change the way I eat. Sometimes I think, I've been eating more calories, and actually it's just because it's been less calorie dense. So who knows?
Depends on the situation and the quality of the nutrition.
Yeah, I think it seems to me like it's the types of food she was eating that just weren't making her stay full for a time period or whatever.
But let's be honest. What I love about some fake meat companies like Beyond, they've continued to reformulate. They've continued to hear back from their audiences and their consumers and to change the ingredients because they want to make it more healthy, less processed, less with saturated fat, less sodium. And that takes experimentation, right? To deliver a good, wholesome, safe product.
We have the same thing in the UK with the company This UK. They got loads of feedback that it was too processed and people weren't wanting to buy it. So they've actually brought out a couple of products now that are all made of vegetables effectively, but still turned into almost like a sort of tofu-like consistency, but it's just whole foods. So that's quite interesting to see the turning of the tides when it comes to processed vegan foods, even though we have seen it sort of proven that processed vegan foods don't increase your risk of these diseases and things like that any more so than processed meats do.
Ronnie, how you feel good?
I was eating a lot of fake meat, man. That's good for you. I don't care. I don't care. That's not good
the
for you.
Morningstar spicy nuggets
not
are my
good
fave.
for you. Oh,
When I
baby, you eating spicy plastic.
When I was on a vegan kick and I was eating those morning nuggets, and I still love them. I love the Morningstars, but yeah.
Listen, Morningstar was OG though, so maybe they weren't as plasticky. Morningstar was like the only vegetarian you could get back in the day.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not great at being vegan. But.
It's such a shame that vegan food is now being associated with processed vegan food when you just don't need to eat that way if you choose to adopt a more compassionate lifestyle. It's not a prerequisite to eat vegan junk. And I feel like people cut us down both ways. So nowadays they say, well, if you're vegan, I don't want to have that junk. You're going to be unhealthy. But wasn't it 10 years ago? I don't want to be vegan because I couldn't eat lettuce. And they'd assume that you're eating lettuce. It's just unfair. They cut you down both ways.
But also loads of people say like, oh, but I can't live without meat. That's why I could never be vegan. So then we're like, oh, well, you can have a vegan meat if you want. And they're like, ew, why would I do that when they're literally eating like the dead body of an animal? Do you know what I mean? They're like, that's so gross. It's like, what's gross about plants being processed in a way to mimic the flavor of meat with like seasoning and stuff like that? I don't really get it. But yeah, like you said, Klaus, it's like either they don't want to eat the rabbit food or they don't want to eat the processed junk. So you can't really win.
Never had a salad.
Of things that you
so
like.
Embarrassed. It's like chicken fingers, pizza, and butter noodles. That's it.
You don't like kale?
Girl.
You've never tried kale?
I've never, and again, this is so embarrassing. My kids eat vegetables thanks to my husband, but I've never eaten like broccoli or a vegetable or anything.
You've never had broccoli?
Never. I don't think I've had any green.
Not
green.
even broccoli and cheese.
Nope. I'm like really, really bad with it.
Do you do like Caesar salads?
Never had a salad.
What the hell?
I know, because I hate the taste so much. And I'm like, I'd rather just starve, you know? Like, I'd rather just not eat.
People just are so unhealthy at times. You know, there's people that they literally just have not had a vegetable. If I go a morning or an afternoon without fruit, like I feel it. I need my fresh food.
Xiaonan, what would you do if you kale, broccoli, salad?
I think these are great foods to introduce in things like pasta and cheese sauces that you could blend into Vitamix. There are ways to hide them for children or adults that eat like children. It's not uncommon, right, for us to not break those particular habits, particularly if they're generational. If you grew up in a house where cooking was not normalized and eating out of a box or being a latchkey kid, you know, you coming home and making your own food very young, and it's not uncommon to have to learn those behaviors later on in life. And so what I'm seeing here is someone that was never empowered in their own family life as a youth to be taught what these foods are, to incorporate these foods. And these will have long-term detrimental impacts. And though she may seem fine now, where our concern is when you enter your 4th, 5th, and 6th decade of life.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what you think the consequences would be of eating like that for your whole life.
Well, you got 2 choices, morbidity or mortality, the amount of disease you live with or the death you're going to deal with.
Interesting.
Unless you're just the genetic phenom that can smoke, eat, drink, and we know that those exist. Yeah, there's a potential. There's a probability. Yes, of course it's possible. But can we take a look at what really happens to the masses, the 95%, when they do engage in this kind of behavior? You know, lack of physical activity, lack of proper nutrition. Over time, we see that this is the potential outcome. If we could be preventative now, why mess around with it later?
One of my favorite ways is to just, like you said, blend vegetables into sauces. And I often like putting silken tofu into like a creamy sauce because it's just such a boost of protein.
I think every time I make a chocolate pie or any type of pie or any type of dessert, it's made from silken tofu. And everybody is so surprised that it's like rich and moussey. And I'm like, and it's packed with protein. The reason why they're satiated from eating that, the reason why they feel full is because it is packed with protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Veganism helps guide your choices because you're avoidant of a lot of the processed things. And so I think that's another knowledge conversation to have with folks.
Yeah, I think you would just become more aware, don't you? Like you said, it highlights more things to you when you become vegan because a lot of things are removed straight away. And then you start to be like, oh, what else can I avoid that's processed if I don't want to be having processed foods? So.
One thing that I remember that happened in 2018, and not enough people talk about this, there was a news story about how Australian farmers were claiming that the slaughterhouse wasn't engaging the slaughter and that the industry should call it processing. So if you think about it, killing animals for food is literally processing. Even if it's not processed meat, it is actually massively processed. So the irony of pundits in the meat industry and meat bosses and proponents of animal agriculture calling vegan food processed is just so hypocritical.
Yeah, literally.
There was this video that showed in 2022, a maintenance technician was showing a grain elevator owned by Smithfield Farms where bread in plastic wrappers was being processed into the feed. And so now anybody eating that pig meat, pork, is consuming what the pig has eaten. You are what you eat. My plants aren't eating plastic.
If you just changed one, if you just stopped eating fast food.
I know.
Literally, that's it. If you just stopped eating fast food, it would change your life significantly.
I don't think I've ever gone more than like a couple days without eating fast food. I like the idea of a chef because we do spend a lot on ordering out, and I spend too much money, so I'd rather spend it on something like that, like something healthy and good. We've been talking about it, and I think that might be my goal, to have someone just help me prepare food.
But I also, like, if you're happy, do you?
The whole internet knows I want to be thin and I want to be healthier. Like, this has been no secret for
just fast food. And that's the secret. Like, you can eat whatever you want, especially, but if you cook it yourself, because we don't know what they're putting in our food. They're putting crazy shit in our food, like just like crazy amounts of extreme salts and sodiums, like crazy milligrams of sodium that we don't even need, crazy amounts of butter.
Lizzo's making a great point. If you take control of your food system, if you have ownership over it, then I don't care if you want to eat a taco. I don't care if you want to have chicken pot pie. I want you to start taking ownership in your food system. Let that be the first step. Everything else will parlay and follow. But when you take it from that perspective of the view of the oppressor, I pay someone else to prepare and cook my food. I pay someone else to slaughter the animals. Just pick it up in a pretty package and I eat it. If we can be more knowledgeable about the steps and processes, that's how we change behavior. But it's really uncomfortable for a lot of people.
I mean, she's speaking about hiring a chef, so she has the means to do that. She could even start by getting the chef to do like a fake away home version of the meals that she likes. I see a lot of recipe people doing that, right? The fake away, where it's like what you would order from the place, but you just cook it yourself. And I like that because it's like you still get to have the same foods that you love and you less feel like you're missing out, but you're not getting all the additives and all the extra stuff that would be put in for the takeaway version.
A lot of this is addiction, right? We crave, we desire, we're addicted to. And the fear of taking that away from someone's day-to-day or weekly behavior is really what the obstacle tends to be. And so it's having those conversations that Lizzo is having with her, that's saying like empowering them to make these changes. But unless you know you have a problem, you can't think about the problem you have.